Hey guys, quick status update on my back injury for those of you that want to know. I had an MRI on my back and one of my discs, the L4-L5 level disc, is degenerative. I have what's called degenerative disc disease. The discs are the kind of like little brake pads that sit in between your vertebrae and your spine, and they're kind of like a little jelly donut. There's an inside layer that's real gushy and gooey, and there's an outside layer that is kind of harder and holds that inside layer in. And a lot of the time when you hear someone say herniated disc, what that means is that the inside layer has punctured through the outside layer, and then it's pushing into the spinal canal onto the nerves in there. What's happened in the case of mine is that the structure is damaged to the point that it is herniated, but it's also ground down to a fraction of the height that it was. Here's the bad news, and I don't mean for this to be a horror story for you guys, but take care of your backs, because what I found out once I have this injury is that this is not fixable in the way that I had my knee done, my meniscus done last year, and the back is not fixable in the way that other injuries are. They don't yet, and my surgeon, my doctor told me that the disc replacement procedure is in clinical trials now. It could, in a few years, in 5 years or 10 years from now, be available to the general public. But as of right now, it's not. So the first question that I asked the surgeon, in other words, is, well, my disc is like this tall, right? So can it ever come back to being the height that it should be? And he said, no. Now there is a procedure, but it mixed results even in the best of cases, called a disc fusion, where they fuse the vertebrae together and it all heals together into one bone. I'm not a candidate for that procedure. The way that my disc has degenerated, it wouldn't provide any pain relief, any added mobility, it wouldn't lessen any of my symptoms of my degenerated disc. It would just seal it all in there. Also, even in the best of cases for somebody that a spinal fusion would be a good option, it's got mixed results even in those cases, because the pressure that's been placed on that disc that's caused it to shift, or in my case degenerate and get squished down, the pressure that's been on there, if you fuse those two vertebrae together, then that pressure just moves up to the next level or down to the next level. And then in a few years, you need another spinal fusion here and then another spinal fusion here. It's a nightmare lifestyle to start to get into. The solution, the best option for me that I have available to me, is going to be injections in my spinal disc and anti-inflammatories that I'm going to take daily. If there's anything I want you guys to take away from this, let me be an example, a public service announcement. When you start to have back pain, go get looked at, because it's nothing to mess with. Your spine is not like the other parts of your body. Like my knee, I could have fixed and now it feels almost good as new, and probably in a year's time it'll be just as good as new, or maybe even stronger from that therapy exercises. Your spine is not like that. You've only got one structure for now. Until disc replacement advances years from now, then maybe it'll become available to people. But for now, you've only got that set of vertebrae and discs between them. And as soon as one of your discs starts to bulge or herniate, go get looked at. When you start to have pain in your back, and especially if it starts to shoot down into your leg, that means that you've got a herniated disc or a bulging disc. You don't know what you've got, but I can tell you, go get it looked at before it gets worse. Because I let mine go too long before getting anything looked at, and now I'm in a situation where this will never be all the way fixed. And you don't want, I know martial artists and athletes, we think that, well, I'm a tough guy, I'll be all right. It's not worth it for the macho effect to go, well, I'll just tough through it or whatever, and it gets progressively worse and worse, and you go, well, if I would have looked at this years ago, maybe I would have had some options. Now I'm in a spot where it just is what it is. I just have to get injected in the spot that's suffering a lack of mobility, and hope with some therapy exercises I can relieve some of the pressure on those nerves, and that's what I've got. And that doesn't mean if you've got a knee pain or shoulder pain, don't go to the doctor and get those checked out. Do that too, but especially your back and the nerves from your back, from your spine that go down into your legs. Take extra special care of those. If you start to have some pain and some irritation, you should get it looked at as soon as you can, because it could be getting worse over time.